Hi everybody, this is Christine Gilroy. I am the SVP of Digital Services for Equinix, and I am here with a good friend of mine, Doug Merritt, now the CEO of our partner, Aviatrix. Doug, it's so awesome to run into you, and I love spending time with you and your team.
Vice versa, Christine. It's nice that we get a chance to work together again.
It is, and it's ironic because we're not even at one of our own shows. We're at a NetApp show, and here we are. So talk to me a little bit about the excitement between this three-way partnership that we have that we're building with NetApp.
Yeah, it's so Aviatrix, for all you out there, is a cloud networking company that has security built into the network. So we're a little bit cyber, a little bit networking, and we've got a number of different advantages versus any other constructs out there. And with Equinix and NetApp, there's some really interesting use cases that we can drive into our joint customer base. As we all know, Gen AI is a 30-year-old thing that's been going on forever and a brand new wave that everyone's super excited about. And people are learning very quickly with Gen AI that you do not want to concentrate all that data in one spot. You want to be thoughtful about the distribution of that data. And the Equinix team and the Aviatrix team working with NetApp came up with some really interesting insights of how do you leverage Equinix's global footprint on connectivity that you have in an unparalleled basis. NetApp's incredible technology with FXN and their deeply embedded on-prem data footprint. And Aviatrix that has a unique patent for high performance encryption. We're the only networking vendor out there on a software basis that can do line rate speed encryption very affordably and very flexibly. That really feeds into this Gen AI wave. You can now have data that's distributed. I think most people care about the security and privacy of that data. And even if you got app-to-app encryption, what happens over that network can be a little bit scary. You're never exactly sure what's going to happen on the other side. So that's one of probably 100 different use cases that our teams are working on, but really topical right now.
And we do have hundreds, but we want to only focus on the key few,
because
we
really
know
matter.
There's so many exciting things that are going on right now with all of us and with the things that we're doing with NetApp around cloud storage and the adjacency and the things that we can do from our footprint, from the interconnection, but also helping our customers save costs. And so we look at the things that people are worried about with Gen AI is, do I have enough cost, budget? Do I have enough space in my data center? Do I have enough storage availability? And can I get the data where I need to? And so having that ability for us to manage through all of those things means we have to focus. And so when we think about that from a focusing on cost optimization or cost savings, what's that new persona that you guys are talking to that resonates with the story that we're telling?
Yeah, very good point. Gen AI is exciting. I don't think anyone's getting a 50% IT budget to increase to deal with Gen AI, so everyone's got to be cost thoughtful. One of the many attributes of what Aviatrix does is we are able to generally save some significant costs on transport, on connectivity, hardwired connectivity, which Equinix is excellent helping with, and with overall data processing and egress costs within the cloud. So while we give an unparalleled level of visibility and security and control at the networking layer, which doesn't exist once you get into the cloud, it's a relatively opaque process for most companies. We also wind up with a 15 to 30% cost savings off of the networking portion of the cloud bill. It depends on the architectures, and but there's rarely a customer that I've met with that doesn't see some interesting savings in addition to the enhanced capability.
And I think that's where NetApp also comes in, is that when you add NetApp and Aviatrix and Equinix together, we then even further save on those egress fees because the data is residing where it needs to be at that point in time, and then through all of the connections can get to where it needs to be fast. So those are also exciting times for us. What would you say is that 2 or 3 things that we're going to go to market with first to solve for our customers? What are the key attributes that we can just launch tomorrow and say, we're going to save this? We can save you money, we can also improve latency, but what is that really doing for that use case for the customer?
So the immediate is an edge to cloud connectivity story. Going back to that distributed LLM use case footprint. And that is a really easy install between the two of us. You generally have got provision POP to cloud circuits for a lot of these organizations, and we're a software install. So we're very robust at the layer 3, layer 4 networking software piece, and we're completely reliant on the layer 1, layer 2 underlays, whether it's in the cloud or whether it's working with you guys. So that's what our teams hopefully are talking to lots of people about as we go forward. What we are getting ready to ship next month actually treats Equinix as a cloud. So we are now able to connect to allow Equinix to not just get effective encryption and high speed performance at a lower cost savings edge to cloud, but now you can begin to route traffic intelligently because of the visibility and the ability to connect Equinix centers together as if you were AWS or Azure or Google or OCI or the other clouds we play in, which I think will have a pretty monumental cost savings as we begin to work on that for organizations, given the egress fees that are pretty typical with these clouds, not to mention the latency and the thoughtfulness that could be implemented if you're really thinking app down and network up on how these routes should be paved and crafted.
We love the clouds. We have great relationships with them, but what we also recognize is that customers don't want to put all of their information in the cloud, and we are that private cloud, so we provide that security, we provide the low latency in the private cloud, and all of these relationships for us just help us enhance the outcomes for our customers, which is why I think it's so exciting that and ironic that we meet of all places here. We go back a few years, and who would think that instead of running into you in Austin, here you are walking down the street in the NetApp show, so that's really awesome. We believe deeply that this partnership with you and partnership with NetApp is going to take our customers to the next level to be able to reach their goals, not only with Gen AI, but just in a multi-hybrid cloud scenario. There's a lot of different ways they're using their hybrid cloud strategy where they're realizing they have to pull back. So they need a different cloud. They can need a private dedicated cloud. They also need to be able to pull back some of that data in there. When you think about the other things that you would like to do with NetApp, specifically with cloud storage and the storage, because they're now so relevant from an AI perspective. Beyond Gen AI and beyond their AI initiatives, what else happens? What else are these customers looking at? Because you've said layer 2, layer 3, a lot of people aren't necessarily thinking about all the complexities of networking layers, but what is that next thing?
Yeah, and that's a really good tip on that. We love the clouds as well. They are priceless with the amount of infrastructure they've laid and the quality of that infrastructure. And we're the software layer that sits on top of the cloud. So we actually drive compute and economics when we're running within AWS, Azure, OCI, the other clouds. And that understanding that people had. If I go back 8 years ago, I think there was a lot more momentum on, I'm going to get rid of all my data centers, all of them, and be in one cloud. And I think the shift that's occurred is, well, that cloud is awesome, but they're fragmenting with their capabilities. And so I'm going to, either because of acquisitions or because of business unit needs or just because of core capabilities, I'm going to have a multi-cloud strategy. And now I think what we're seeing with NetApp is all that data that's sitting on-prem, whether it's for Gen AI or not, is extraordinarily valuable. And some of that data deserves to be in the cloud, and some of it might need to stay on-prem. It might even be refreshed with a brand new data center architecture that Equinix helps that customer with, that NetApp could populate as well. So Gen AI, I think, is top of mind for people because most people are going, I believe, are going to want to transport data around. They're going to keep the data close to the edge that makes sense to be close to the edge. And it's generally sensitive data, but there are so many different types of sensitive data. We were just in a meeting with NetApp a little while ago talking about the semiconductor industry and the burstability they need when they're doing chip designs and trying to get from 7 to 5 to 3 nanometers, and how they're really effectively using AWS and other clouds to get that done. And again, that's just interesting. How could Aviatrix lay into that architecture to save costs for that semiconductor organization, to increase the performance and bandwidth back over to the clouds as they get the data there that they need, and then ensure it's encrypted and it's redundant and able to fail over, and the apps teams never have to worry about the network underneath, given how critical those data runs are for the chip designers.
And that's important too to bring up for the apps teams, because oftentimes only the networking teams or the infrastructure teams are thinking about NetApp and Aviatrix and Equinix, but what we realize is that there are other powers that be that are in the application personas that are trying to drive the application so that they can also serve their customers. And that's what's really important to us and why we love our relationship, is that the outcomes that we're giving for them around their entire multi-cloud strategy, not just for Gen I, but everything else that they're doing by repatriating some of that data back in. They're pulling back in that back into their own data centers, but they also could be data center exits where they need to get into other data centers and they need to build out their networking fast.
Yes.
And so being able to put all of that together within discrete manufacturing or healthcare or some of these other areas are ways that we look forward to working with your team on.
Yeah, us too. I think the rule for apps teams is I never want to worry about the network.
Nope.
But networking is very complex. And allowing that networking team and the apps team and the cloud platform and cloud ops teams to now have an effective triangulation, because the networking team, one, can provision extraordinarily quickly, but they get visibility control. So when there is an issue, and there always are app issues or networking issues or core infrastructure issues, that resolution time gets collapsed dramatically, and apps teams just don't have to worry about the network. The networking team can provision speeds, direction, to the needs of the app team without them having to worry about that.
Yeah, we deal a lot with gaming, and the gamers just want to know that it works and that they can have people sign on. They don't want to worry about the speed or latency or the game going down. They just want to make sure that the game is available, their app is available, and the end users can use it.
Yep.
So you made an important point, and I'm going to wrap it up on one thing, is that you have a patent pending, because security is also very important. So just tell us a little bit about that, so that we can wrap that up with security is also very important. And I know that's near and dear to both of us, as we met each other at a security company. Yeah,
yeah, that was a very fun run together. So the networking has generally, it's been a box-driven landscape, and security has been a separate set of boxes. The way that networking should be designed is security is baked into the network. Because we're a more modern network, we took that approach. We're more of a software-defined networking construct for these hyperscalers that runs within the hyperscalers. So security is just a everyday activity to do, no matter what you're doing with Aviatrix. And then we have this awesome patent in high-performance encryption, where we still have got quite a few years left, where in a software basis, you not just drive the encryption piece, which is visibility on security, but you get all the core security capabilities that we have within Aviatrix itself, on filtering and blocking and ensuring that you not just have visibility around that data, but that you are feeling aware of any of the potential threats that are occurring within your landscape. At the end of the day, there's two areas that really matter with security: endpoint. Something like CrowdStrike has done an awesome job in securing that endpoint, and network. Those are the two fundamental true stoppage points in security, so that we are leading more and more with secure networking is something that they just need to go together. You can't talk about networking and security. They've got to be one. And they go together with Equinix. So thank you so much. It was great to run into you, and we're excited about our partnership and excited about our partnership with NetApp. So thanks all for joining, and we hope to hear more from Doug Merritt and his team soon. And catch us where you can.